everyone. I'm Rick, and welcome to another episode of 90 to Zambo Talks, Bedtime Stories. So, this is the beginning of Section 2, Mexican Waters, and we're in Episode 8, Any Port in a Storm. So, having graduated from college, the three of us, Del, Phil, and I, moved to Aspen. And we were going to ski that winter and see what developed. So just recapping a little bit, it's now 1971, January of 1971. We've been in this game for about a year. And the first part of the story took place in Nogales, and we kind of burned out that whole route and episode. We brought heat on ourselves, and so we closed the chapter on Nogales and went to Aspen to see what would happen. Well, we'd been there about a month, I suppose, and an old friend of mine from San Francisco showed up with an interesting proposition. His name was Mark Wazenberg. He was an old friend of mine from the city. We grew up together. So he came out to Aspen to ski and tell me of an interesting proposition. He was going to be delivering a boat back from Mexico, and told me that he could bring a load of marijuana with us. He invited me along. He told me a little bit about sailing and about the captain who'd invited him along. He told me the captain was a phenomenal sailor. However, he was also bisexual. I was pretty naive on the whole subject, but I was excited and a little bit apprehensive about it all. But Waz told me that he was a great sailor, and I had never sailed before. The two of them could teach me how to sail, and it would be an exciting adventure. I accepted. So he set it up so I could meet the captain, Dave Killian, out in San Francisco. So I flew out there, and I was a little bit apprehensive, but when I met Dave, he was nothing like what I had imagined. I'm not sure what I imagined, but Dave was a big hulking bear of a man, and just a great disposition, friendly, and I could tell right away that he had great confidence about him. And he showed me right away what sailing was all about. Started giving me instructions immediately. And he gave me a book called Royce's Sailing Illustrated, which he said was the sailor's Bible. He said mostly sailing is learning the terms, and Royce's laid it out perfectly. So he gave me the book and told me to memorize it. I did. Here's a picture of Dave when I met him on the boat. Great guy. And this is the book, Royce's Sailing Illustrated, the Sailor's Bible. I memorized it. So after broaching the subject of his bisexuality, which he was very open and honest about, I totally relaxed and was just looking forward to learning everything I could about sailing. So I had told Waz back in Aspen that I thought I could score the load too, and I had a friend, an acquaintance from Stockton who could possibly do it. That was Rob. So I went down there and told Rob of the plan, and he was very interested. Said he could score the load and he would finance the trip. So we were set there, and Waz needed to find a fourth crew member, which was the number required to sail the boat safely back from the race. And he located an old acquaintance of ours from the city, Steve Morrison. So now we were set. We had the four of us. We're gonna sail the boat back, and we were to meet the following month down in Mazatlan, which was the end of the race. It was from from LA to Mazatlan. So anyway, we arrived down in Mazatlan the following month, ready to go, and we were all of a sudden faced with our first problem. Rob couldn't score the load. Apparently his contacts got heat on him, and so he couldn't score the load, but he still wanted to finance the load. So now we were stuck. And it turned out Steve had been going to Mexico the previous several years and had been organizing dive trips, scuba diving trips down there. And he had a buddy of his who was a local named Mario who said that he could score the load. So I guess we were probably saved. So anyway, we met Mario, and I want to read to you what happened. So after introductions, Mario led the four of us into a back room in the dive shop behind a wall of compressors, weight belts, and diving regulators. He retrieved a box from the corner and produced a five kilo packages of marijuana, each wrapped in red and green cellophane paper. He carefully opened each package, and at one glance I could tell this was very high-grade weed. The individual flower tops were pungent, resinous, and green-brown in color, and were laid together in a loosely packed, nice uniform bricks. Now this is more like it, way better than anything I got at the border or even in Culiacan, I said. But 20 grand is way too steep at a wholesale price, added Rob. You guys come to me at the last minute because your guy screwed up and couldn't score. You beg me to put something together of only the finest quality, which I do, Mario said, pointing to the bricks spread on the floor. Now you tell me it's too expensive. Maybe you guys should just go bleep yourselves and try to get something going on the streets of Mazatlan, where the federales will certainly bust you rookies right now. Come on, old friend, this is just the beginning. Can't you give us a little better deal for old time's sake, said Steve. All right, just because you saved my life, I kind of owe you one. I'll knock off a couple of grand and do the whole thing for 18 G's, no less, replied Mario. Okay, said Rob, 8 now and 10 on delivery. No, I don't think so. I need 10 now to get things working, and then 8 on delivery 1 week from tonight at the small fishing dock at the north end of town. Okay, it's a deal, said Rob. He offered us his hand, and Mario shook it. Then Rob handed him a neatly bound stack of $100 bills. 6 days later, Mario met Steve at a thatched hut beach bar known as a Palapa, located behind the El Playa Hotel. There's a slight problema. The load is ready to go, but it's been raining in the mountains and the road is too muddy to bring the truck out. We're going to have to wait. I think in 3 or 4 days it should be okay. So we wait. No problem, answered Steve. Finally, at sunset on the third evening, Mario came to the boat and said, "We're ready to go now. We'll meet you at the pier in 2 hours." We were ready, decked in a pair of cut-off jeans, flip-flop sandals, and of course my lucky shirt. I went ashore and contacted Rob at his hotel, who said he'd be at the pier with the final payment. Everything was set, except there was only one small hang-up. Dave Killian was 3 sheets to the wind and 20 minutes into his late afternoon nap, sprawled unconscious in his pilot berth. Woz shook him awake and gave him a cup of mud-black coffee laced with 2 dexedrine tablets, which he gulped down like water. "My God, look at this guy. He's a mess. He's totally screwed up, Rick," Woz ordered. "Get over here and see to this guy. Steve, you go topside and get the lines ready. I'll get the engine going and take us to the dock." "Like hell you will," roared Killian, totally alert and obviously in control. "Wazenberg, get me a gin on the rocks, get the engine started, and stand by the anchor, in that order. Let's get this straight right now. Only one man gives the orders on this boat, and that's me. Got it?" There were those rare individuals who, when the chips were down and everything is on the line, have the capacity to rise up from a complete drunken stupor and deliver. Dave Killian was such a person. A full goblet-sized plastic glass of gin and a cigarette in one hand, and the other hand on the tiller, Killian precisely steered the boat a mile up the bay to the old fishing dock. There was a moderate crosswind and a strong ebb tide. A lesser sailor might not have made the docking appear as easy as Killian did. In near total darkness, he maneuvered Sirius II effortlessly to the end of the pier on his first attempt. With Steve on the bow and Waz on the stern, they just had to step off the boat as if getting off a city bus and cleat the lines. Killian didn't miss a beat. Rob was standing there waiting for us. 10 minutes later, headlights appeared at the street end of the pier. The 10-wheeler turned around. Mario jumped down off the truck and waved his deformed arm, guiding the vehicle to the dock's seaward end where the yacht was tied. About 10 Mexicans jumped out of the covered military-style truck and began heaving down heavy gunny sacks to us on the boat. Within 5 minutes, all 44 50-pound burlap sacks were deposited aboard, heaped on deck, with the Mexicans back in the truck. Rob shook hands with Mario, giving him the $8,000 they'd agreed upon. As the truck rolled away, Rob started walking back towards his rental car, parked at the end of the pier. After a few paces, he stopped and slowly turned around to see the silhouette of a huge, blimp-shaped mound laboriously ease away from the pier with Killian fully in command at the helm. I want to show you here a couple of maps. This is a map of California. You can kind of see, for those of you who aren't familiar, kind of what the coast looks like and what we were doing. Here's a map of Mexico. And then you can see where Nogales and Culiacan and Mazatlan are located there. So, at this point, we were headed north with a ton of weed. Oh my God, what could happen next? Stay tuned. So, this is 90 to Zambo Talks, Bedtime Stories. I hope you enjoyed that one. There's a lot more to come. It gets crazier and crazier. So anyway, I'm Rick. This is the book I wrote, 90 Degrees to Zamboanga, Memoirs of a 20-Year Marijuana Smuggling Adventure. I wrote this book. The website is 90tozambo.com. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, click the like button, and stay tuned. There's more. I'll be back.